Hi everyone and welcome back to Gold Penguins Meet the Founder series. I'm Wes and today we're joined alongside Dominik, who is the founder of Promptitude.io. Dominik, how are you, mate? How are things going?
All good, thank you. Saying hello to everyone from Barcelona, Spain right now.
Very nice. And when did you move to Barcelona? I can hear from your accent you're sort of maybe a bit more northern in Europe. Where are you from originally?
I was born in Bavaria, in the south of Germany, and then about 10 years ago I fell in love with Spain, with Barcelona more precisely, and since then I've sort of been commuting or basically living in both locations. So going back to visit my parents back in good old Germany, or spending the nice, mild winters here in Spain.
Avoiding the German weather. I mean, I had a friend that was in Berlin recently, and even in midsummer there, the weather wasn't particularly great. It was very windy and horrible, and she didn't really like it at all. So I can understand your reasoning there. What took you to Barcelona in the first place, can I ask?
Well, it was pure coincidence, actually. A good friend of mine had rented a holiday apartment. There was a spare room, and they just asked me if I wanted to tag along. So went here, and literally the very first night immediately fell in love with people, the weather, the climate, everything.
Okay. I've heard lots of good things, to be fair, so I can imagine it's a nice life there. Also, it's interesting to note as well, you know, you mentioned the split between Germany and Barcelona. Lots of entrepreneurs we speak to and people like I know my personal life are sort of going down that avenue now where they'll split their year between maybe 2 or 3 places, where they can, again, you know, get the best of both worlds in terms of weather and, you know, seasons and that sort of thing. Especially if you're from somewhere like you and I in Europe where the weathers aren't particularly pleasant, you can sort of migrate a bit further south and avoid that, which is nice.
You can do that, but also by going to a second location, I've learned that it's actually really easy to learn the language. So my means of doing that actually was sports. So I really love volleyball, both beach and indoor volleyball. So when I got down here, or when I started spending more time down here in Spain, I signed up for a lot of different clubs. And, you know, playing each night at the beach, talking to people, immediately draws you into the language. And once you master the language, this actually opens up so many doors. So I'm really fortunate and appreciative that this happened, because later I started traveling to Latin America as well. And the language, the Spanish language sort of opened these doors for me. So I could even build a team over there. And this is sort of like what really got me closer to the Latin American world, sort of spending time there, traveling the continent, but also being able to work together with a really skilled and really motivated team over there.
Very cool. We'll hear more about the team in just a minute, if that's okay. I want to focus on you as a person so we can get to know you a bit better. It's an interesting point you make about the sport angle as well, because for me, again, with Spanish, similar to yourself, I was learning kickboxing when I first moved to Colombia, and being on the spot and having to listen to the, you know, when you're training, the different drills, the different workouts you're doing, you need to understand that. And you can understand that straight away by looking around and seeing what the people are doing. You start pairing words up in your head, and then you spend time with people you're playing with, you know, outside of the class, outside of the trainings and stuff. So you're right, it's a really good way to sort of get that first foot in those little communities, I think, which is a nice sort of thing. I see lots of books behind you, Dominik. I imagine you're a big reader.
Not as much as I wanted to be, but over the past few years, or I should almost say decades, I've read quite a few. You know, from those standards, from lean startup to the 4-hour work week, but also the more marketing related stuff, which was something I really had to get into. I really had to wrap my head around. Like me originally, having been a more technical founder and then transitioning to the marketing parts, this really took quite some time in reading up and learning.
No, there's always a lot to learn. I think with books, especially, like if you're reading something that was made in 2008, for example, the whole, you know, dynamic of social media and web marketing and landing pages has changed so much. So you need, again, if you've a technical base, you went to university and did a technical degree, you need that up to date sort of information to feed off. And in terms of, you know, the rest of your free time, what sort of things do you do? You know, do you have any hobbies that you carry out in Barcelona, or whether you're in Germany, or, you know, how do you spend your weekends?
Okay, good question. Well, down here it's basically good food and sports. So that's
nice mix.
That northern region of Spain around Barcelona is actually the spot on earth that offers the highest quality of both red and white wines and cava at the most affordable prices. They get the best ratio on earth for that, which is due to climate conditions. So it's really hard to resist sort of tasting new stuff. Also food is incredibly good and affordable, funny enough, down here. And when I'm not pursuing that, it's literally being down at the beach playing beach volleyball, or like traveling Europe for volleyball tournaments as well with my team.
Oh, really? Oh, very
good. A lot of fun. Yeah. There's like these weekend tournaments, like from all major capitals, from Paris, Rome, London. They all do these tournaments, and you can spend a longer weekend there, have fun, play, so sort of not just sit around, but do sports, share the time with teammates and other teams. So that's my favorite version of traveling or spending my spare time.
It's certainly a nice way to do it. And again, you're probably in the sun all the time on a nice beach. So again, it's not a bad place to be. I can't complain. Okay, so I think we should dive in to hear more about Promptitude if we can. So just for people that are watching, could you give us a quick summary of what Promptitude is?
Okay, no problem at all. So probably you have heard about ChatGPT or have used ChatGPT yourself, right? This sort of consumer version of how you can get access to this incredible AI tools, or this incredible power of generative AI tools. But that's for consumer use. So Promptitude is like the all-in-one solution to use that as a business. It's the all-in-one AI business solution. So really from solopreneurs to startups, to small companies, or to even medium-sized companies, you need to leverage the power of what ChatGPT can do, but you need to do it in a secure environment. You want to be independent of vendors, right? You don't only want to depend on OpenAI. There's going to be new, better, different vendors in the future. And last but not least, if you work with ChatGPT, the results you get are vanilla. They are generic, right? You just ask it to, let's say, write a LinkedIn post, and it will spit out a LinkedIn post. But how do you actually get results from this generative AI thingy that are in your own voice, in your brand, that actually speak from your mission, from your vision, and resemble what you do as a business? And this is what Promptitude adds as a real B2B prompting and AI solution. It solves all these challenges, and again, as a small to medium-sized businesses, gives you the power of AI in a secure and powerful business setting.
Okay, very exciting. And can I ask if Promptitude, obviously towards the end of last year when GPT hit the mainstream, was the idea maybe in sort of the pipeline before that, or was it off the back of that wave of, mainstream consumerism where you thought, people, again, as you worded it, vanilla, people are using this for very vanilla concepts with, limited context you're putting in and getting a generic answer when you come out. Where did the idea come from initially?
Okay, that's a good question. Neither of those two ways. Okay. The thing is, about 3 years ago, we launched our first sort of AI-based platform called getitout.io, which is a marketing analysis and marketing text generation tools. So that was way before ChatGPT was widely known. So over the course of the past 3 years, we've been building out this AI marketing solution. And while doing so, we were incorporating more and more prompts inside our marketing tool. And these are two kinds of prompts usually. It's analysis prompts and generative prompts. Many people know about the generative ones. Hey, let's create a blog post. Let's create a social media post. But the other part, the analysis-based ones, are really powerful as well. Let's say we got the text from a competitor's website, and we can ask a prompt, an AI model to extract the buyer persona from that text, or to extract benefits, features, and pain points.
Interesting.
So lots and lots of prompts that we developed over the years and hard-coded into our marketing solution. And then at some point we had so many prompts, we couldn't manage them anymore. So we developed an internal tool to develop test and deploy our prompts and then integrate them into our marketing solution. And then at the end of last year, I realized, wow, this internal tool could actually be really beneficial to all businesses out there who want to incorporate AI features into their web-based apps, mobile apps, or into their daily workflows or daily processes. So we just took this internal tool that we had been using for more than 2 years, put a nice polished user interface in front, and launched that as Promptitude.
Very nice. And can I ask how many of these users you're seeing at the moment? You know, how have you hit sort of a figure you're happy with and you want to keep growing, or how's it been since you launched with this newer tool? How many users do you have at the moment?
Okay, so this is really a wild ride, I gotta say, because like I have been running software businesses for more than 2 decades now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
experience then.
It sort of frightens myself when I have to say that out loud. But Promptitude is the very first tool that we launched in a sort of hype or trend phase. Okay. Like you said, like ChatGPT sort of came to market and everybody was talking about it. And
for months, it was the only thing I heard about.
Exactly. So I really underestimated the power that such a trend has. And to just give you one example, one of the marketing strategies we used was publishing Promptitude in a whole lot of these online directories that came out. So I'm not talking Product Hunt or something like that. I'm talking these best AI tool whatsoever. And there's like hundreds of these directories right now. And very simple hack, and it just takes a few minutes to publish your tool in each of these directories. But what happens during a trend is people want to post, also famous people with hundreds of thousands of followers. And they just go to the next directory, list the top 5 tools in any given category, and create a LinkedIn post, which they will then put on a LinkedIn group. I don't know, AI in marketing, AI for business. And then over the course of a single weekend, we would get literally thousands of signups from those posts. Yeah. And this, I really sort of attribute that to the fact that it's a hype or trend topic, that it's sort of easier to get into these sort of posts, mentions, groups in that area.
Very cool. And obviously you mentioned that it came off the back of another original tool. How has Promptitude sort of changed and grown since you first launched? Have you added many new features that, you know, were maybe molded in the feedback of existing customers, or, you know, how has it changed since, you know, that first step?
Okay, good question. So when we originally launched Promptitude, again, it came from that background of empowering other SaaS vendors, other mobile or web applications to very quickly and easily add those AI features to their tools. That was the original idea, because this is precisely what we had done using Promptitude in our marketing solution. But then when talking to users, and this is actually something I really enjoy. Usually I will talk to at least 5 users each week, doing like video calls, just asking how they use the tool, what they miss, what they might wish it would do for them. And then we realized it's not just these more technical users. It's almost any kind of small or medium-sized businesses that wants to get their hands into this AI space. They want to use AI in their daily processes, be it just writing sales emails, doing marketing stuff, whatever that is. So the big change that happened is that we added more sort of novice or beginner-like features to empower sort of any business owner, to empower any startup founder or anyone working in sales or marketing to build those prompts with Promptitude in this platform, but then also to take these prompts and share them with the team, to make these prompts reusable. And maybe I should have added that in the first place. When you go to ChatGPT, you reinvent the wheel every time, right? You start a new chat, you start typing, and then you get whatever result out of that. But with Promptitude, you build out a prompt and you refine it over time, and then you save it and share it with the rest of your team. So either you or your team, just with one click, can pull up that prompt, enter whatever is necessary as input, and generate consistent, high quality results in your brand with your tone. That's the idea. So really it turned from a more technical tool to a sort of the one-stop shop for AI for sort of any small and medium-sized business.
Okay. And obviously you mentioned then about, sharing with the team. You brushed over the fact that, originally it was something that your internal team were using for the other product. In terms of your team now, can I ask how big the team is? And obviously you mentioned earlier about a bit of outsourcing to Latin America. Could you walk us through that a bit as well? Tell us what's going on there.
So we built Promptitude with a team of 6. Okay. And again, because of these sort of language, how do I put this? We built Promptitude with a team of 6, and I was fortunate because of my Spanish language skills, and while I was traveling Colombia, that I met a few guys and gals, with whom I was able to build a really committed, focused, and high-performing team over there, where we do both UI UX design and the development, and then we also have people in Germany and sort of me traveling between Germany and Spain. So truly remote. 100% remote company, the typical daily video stand-ups that we would be doing. Internal language, funny enough, is Spanish. Cool. So okay. That's how we would sort of communicate, specify, etc. Just the final product that, because we wanted to get to a broader market faster, so we chose the English-speaking world, like US, Canada, and United Kingdom. But we are actually having users from all over the world, which pretty much amazes me. From the United Arab Emirates to Eastern Europe, to Latin America, to Asia, to Singapore, to always fun to look at these stats when you see who's using the tool.
Certainly seems to all be sort of taking off. Then I'm glad, I'm happy for you, definitely. In terms of sort of revenue for Promptitude, obviously you've got 5 different levels of service. One of these being a free version. Could you walk us through maybe a bit about the success of the different pricing structures and how you decided on them?
Okay, so we hadn't done this in quite a few years, but with Promptitude, I really wanted everyone to be able to just sign up, dive in, and test this and experience the power of using prompts in your business. And that's why we decided for a freemium model, which again, we hadn't done in quite a while. And this seems to be turning out really well. To be honest, we did make a big mistake there as well, because in the beginning, the Promptitude free version, again, it's completely free forever. But in order to actually execute the prompts and generate something, you would have to head over to OpenAI, sign up with them, get an API key from them, and pay them for the tokens that would then be used inside of Promptitude. And we realized, wow, this is like, even now that I'm explaining it, it's so many different steps that you need to follow along, and people would really get stuck and not continue the journey. So big change there, easy to do. So now with every free sign up, we also make a gift and give them free generation tokens, actually, that people can actually use it. So that was a fun sort of fun and big mistake that we were able to correct. And now that we see people sort of entering, immediately experiencing what the product does, they actually will upgrade to the paid plans. And interestingly enough, this typical 80-20 or Pareto principle, that most of the sales or the recurring revenue actually comes from the bigger plans, right? I just need, I can sell one big plan or 20 of the tiniest ones. But of course, I will have to do 20 times the support for 20 small ones, as compared to one big client who probably will also be more skilled, will have a power user in the team that is well trained, and after all has less support than each of the 20 smaller ones. So actually this distribution really tends to go to the higher end, interestingly enough, meaning to the higher team plans of 5, 10 or even more people, sort of using Promptitude as a team and sharing the power of these prompts amongst the team.
It's interesting you mentioned that, actually, because a lot of the founders we speak to that, run their tools with freemium models, they always have to find that balance between, if we're spending this much money on, getting the tokens and if using APIs for different tools and stuff, how many of those free users can we eventually convert to be paying users? What does the, lifetime value look like? And on the flip side of that, how can we nudge them into the cheaper paying models versus the big high ticket ones? And it's always, have to change and adjust to find that right balance, basically. So it's always seems to be different for everyone's model, definitely. In terms of your journey with the previous tool that you mentioned and with this one, have there been many other challenges you've faced along the way that you've sort of learned a few lessons you could share with us?
Yes, I saw that question beforehand, so I was literally thinking what the biggest challenge was. And to be honest, it was probably the fear of daring to launch a new product just after a few weeks of thinking about it without months of market research, preparation, etc. So we were like heads down into our AI marketing solution. But as I mentioned, we had started developing that way before ChatGPT came to market. So our solution really sort of had its quirks and was limited in many ways. But of course, you got something running. You got users on the platform. So you're doing everything to improve the experience, to get more users, etc. So all the team hands down on that solution. But then you got this happened over Christmas, literally, when I had some mental time to spare. It was like, maybe this internal sort of prompt management solution, maybe this should be its own product. And then I just took a few days to think about it, do a quick research, and then we just went for it. And now looking back at that change, this is really what I would regard as my biggest challenge, sort of being so, this sort of like this tunnel vision that you sometimes get, focused on your product, your market, and not looking left and right. First of all, jumping out of that tunnel vision, but also then this fear of, hey, I've invested so much energy in that direction, we should keep going back, the momentum that is there. Like it really held me back strategically as well. And this is, and I hope that I will now have learned from that and in the future will dare to try such new projects, or to or you could throw the business term of pivoting maybe in there, right? We do have an AI marketing solution. So we are now we pivoted to a more broader AI utility assistant space, basically, but to just do it. And I wish I had done that earlier.
It's interesting you mentioned that as well, because I'm sure if we got a group of, let's say 10 entrepreneurs that are a few years into their journey like yourself into a room, and we said to them, you can either have 1 year of, planning and perfection and saying, this is what we'll do each stage, we're going to get funding at this stage, whatever, or you can have 3 weeks of crunch time where you've got a date in 3 weeks' time you need to ship, and whatever happens after those 3 weeks, you can pivot, you can change then. Hands down, I'm sure 90% of them would very clearly choose those 3 weeks, because again, you're working hard to push, just get something done, get something built. And then after that period, you can chop and change direction. And again, as you mentioned, sort of, look which way's the way to go, rather than have a year of a product you're not entirely sure will be a good market fit, basically. So again, it's quite a common thing we tend to hear. In terms of the next couple of years or so, where do you see Promptitude heading?
Okay, good question again. So this this whole AI space is just in its infancy still. So we will see incredible developments there. And we'll also see incredible new players come to market. We've already seen like image generation. Now we are moving on to video generation. Everybody talks about ChatGPT and OpenAI, but there's actually pretty interesting competitors like the Claude models that are incredibly capable. So a lot of things are going to happen there. And I would see Promptitude really as the one-stop shop for small and medium-sized businesses for everything AI, for everything they need assistance with, be it either internal processes or be it adding those AI parts to the services that they would then resell to end users. Like we got many marketing agencies, for example, that will build prompts and then sell these as a service via Promptitude to their marketing agency customers, because hey, they don't want to write up every LinkedIn post. They can sell a expensive service that the client can then do it themselves, for example. So really the one-stop shop in terms of everything, text, image, video, AI, that literally empowers people to make use of these tools. And this always reminds me of that little cartoon I once saw, like two people sitting on the bus thinking, and one person's really worried, oh my God, AI is going to take my job. But then the next person sitting to that is like, oh my God, another person who knows how to use AI tools is going to take the job. And I think there's a lot of truth in there.
I think with that one though, it's a bit of a cliche in this day certainly, but I think in terms of the actual percentage of people, if you're a basic copywriter, if you're the one setting up ads and stuff, people always talk on LinkedIn about leveraging AI, but if your job is entirely replaceable, you're not in a position to do that. Whereas if you're a founder, you're an entrepreneur, you're building your own tool that does use AI and helps deliver something actually valuable, there's the whole world of opportunity. And I'm sure the next few years, as you said, then will be very interesting for your tool especially. This blog and this interview is mainly for people sort of, again, interested in AI, but also people that are trying to launch their own similar tool. So if I can, I'd like to ask you if you had any advice for someone that has a really solid idea. They've maybe thought about the market and the consumer, but they're not really sure how to get, as I said, those 3 weeks for you, how to get those out the way and actually ship and grow and scale. So what advice would you give to someone in that situation?
My biggest advice would be to trust your gut, and also to lean into your creativity and intuition in this case, because we just talked about AI maybe being frightening to many people, but there is a few things AI will, at least for a few decades, never be able to do, and this is really be creative, or be able to see these opportunities, see pain points in your daily life.
Okay.
So I think the point of departure, this typical founder problem, you come up with a solution, and then you go out and search for the problem, and you go out and search for the users who you can actually help with. I think this really needs to be reversed. Yes, you may have an idea for a solution, but then it's really taking that step back and saying, hey, have I experienced that problem, or do I at least know someone who has? And then being creative, looking for this perfect fit, of finding that problem, and then building and that's the second part, building a highly targeted point solution, not trying to cover it all in the first place, but daring to really just do one thing, but do it well for this one real problem that you've ideally encountered yourself, or have at least friends, family, or acquaintances that have. Because you always want to build something big, or but this is not how you get out there. Like if we go back to typical positioning theory, start small, land, and expand later, and finding that very first small niche with that highly targeted pain point. I think this is if you dare to stay small, dare to stick to a true problem that you got much better chances to make something fly.
So start small, start specific, and start solving, basically.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Thank you very much for that. I should get you to summarize that. You can
I'm a copywriter, so it is really my job. Don't worry. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you very much, Dominik, for your time and for joining us. It's been great chatting away with you, mate, and a pleasure to meet you as well. Y que te vaya bien en Barcelona con su hija y todo.
Vale, muchas gracias a ti igual. It was a pleasure, and all the best for you guys too.
Thank you very much. So, to the listeners and everyone else tuning in, thanks for your time. I hope you're keeping well, and we'll see you again shortly. Goodbye.